Hey, my name's shawnshawn. I sell art on shawnshawn.co. Today we're going to react to Javid Tabatabaei. That's a mouthful, right? So he is, I think he's Iranian Canadian from what I'm guessing, because he's selling some of his works out of Canada. So I'm guessing he lives in Canada. It's not exactly clear because he doesn't have his own website. So he kind of like he's selling through galleries, kind of the traditional route. Really excellent work in watercolor. So let's go ahead and check out some of his work. So this one is just a watercolor demo. A lot of views on it, so let's just check it out. So he's got the classical kind of really soothing music to go with the watercolor, which makes sense. He's doing some time lapse to make it go fast, which is nice if you just want to kind of get a real quick understanding. I haven't seen that done in watercolor before. You just kind of, whatever he did with that white mark. He's kind of time-lapsing, letting some of the paint dry, so you get, it's much faster way to view it. It would be nice to add voiceover here to kind of understand what the process is. I mean, the finished product is amazing. You'll see. I was just like, what is this? Let's skip ahead a little bit just to make this faster. So yeah, now it's changed quite a bit. But really great detailing there, but also the blur effects, which is kind of what you want to do with watercolor, I think. Because watercolor does have that really beautiful blending effect where you have like this really subtle, but you can also do stark marks like he's doing. And also uses the palette knife. I never knew you could do that in watercolor. That's interesting. I don't know how he's getting that white effect. That's interesting. Maybe he's damping with pure water and then scrubbing it out. I'm not sure. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Really nice strong detail here with the nice washes in the background. It's just like such a great contrast. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Oh, those white things were pipes out of the house. Okay. Looks like a rustic scene from maybe Iran where he grew up. I'm not sure. Oh, he's adding some trees in there. That's really nice. Let's go to the very end, see how this looks. It's just amazing because he has that washes combined with those really fine details to really make it pop. I mean, it's just a great use of watercolor. And extremely strong colors here. It's just like really amazing. That's pretty amazing too that he signs with his actual signature and brush. It's really, you had to have a really good brush stroke to do that. I just do it in pen, so you know, hats off to kind of do the traditional method. Yeah, and as far as his channel on YouTube, I think he could do way better because he has no playlists. He's not organized a homepage, so there's two different things he could do right off the bat on his YouTube page, and it would be way better just to add this homepage. You kind of have an intro, you have the existing channel, you'd have your most popular videos, and then different scenes. I think he does, like he could do it into like seascapes, he could do winterscapes, he could do landscapes. So kind of he could do some broad categories and just bucket those into playlists and put that on the homepage. It'll look a lot better on YouTube. Also with intro with his face would be nice. I don't know why he doesn't hide his face, but let's go on to the next video. All right, so yeah, I mean, he could definitely improve the YouTube channel with those playlists I mentioned, and you know, also the homepage is organized. You can organize the homepage. There's probably an about section which you can add also on YouTube. I don't know if he's filled that out as well. Let's take a quick look, quick gander. So yeah, he has uploads. He hasn't organized any playlists. Amazing painter, so it's just like, it's just a little bit better organization. I think this would really help sell the channel a little bit more. Like, I'd rather go to the video page because it has all the videos there and you kind of see what you want to see. But you kind of have to have those playlists created. There's no playlist, no community, no channels. So it says Tehran, Iran. So maybe he is living in Tehran, and maybe he doesn't want his face shown because you don't want to fall short of the officials in Tehran. If you're sticking just to art and you don't paint any religious topics, you're probably fine. But yeah, it's kind of a challenge there. He has a little bit of his bio on there, which is good. I think that's pretty strong. I would do this to reverse the way he's done it. He's done the earliest stuff at the beginning and the later stuff at the end. I would do the opposite, where I'd have the latest stuff at the top and then, or the newest stuff at the top and the later stuff later. Looks like he's traveled to China, even Pakistan, so all around that area. So the Canadian one part is just has some connections in Canada. There are some Canadian Iranians living there, so that makes sense. Let's go on to the next. So he might be on the internet and just under a different name or something. I'm not sure. It'd also be nice if he kind of shortened his name to maybe Javid or something more pronounceable for YouTube, because then people are going to be lost in the Tabatabaei, which is his real name, but in YouTube I kind of short to Javid. Maybe he can sign his full name, but I think that would just be more, from a marketing standpoint, that would be easier. This one is How to Paint a Snowy Scene in Watercolor Painting by Javid. So it's kind of nice he has the colors out there so you know what you're painting from. They're probably just straight classical out of this watercolor tray. They're very wet, so maybe he squeezed them into those jars. That's probably why he laid out the colors. So it's just that classical straight on shot with the colors here, the canvas there. Works very well for a painting demo. I think he's drying the brush there. It's a really nice soft wash. He's using really nice brushes too for this work. Like, I think they're Chinese ink brushes maybe. It's hard to say. Alright, let's skip ahead a little bit just to get through this more. Again, he has that nice washes with just a little bit of, branches poking through, which really makes it pop. The music is pretty loud here, but he's not talking, so it's fine. Let's go ahead here. It's interesting because the snow is not pure white. You would assume it'd be pure white to kind of maintain that, but the other colors are so dark, it really makes it look white, so it's a kind of an optical effect here. Let's skip ahead a little bit here. It's amazing he gets his trees in here and they don't look like they're flooding into the background. I don't know, maybe he erased them out somehow. Just really good detailing here to kind of make that pop with the blurry in the background, which is really great contrast. These fine details. Let's skip ahead a little bit. There's really organic feel to the branches, just kind of like do, and it's just right off his hand. They don't feel forced. I know my branches sometimes look horrible, so it can be a challenge to get really nice, beautiful branches like that. Let's skip ahead a little bit more. It's just amazing how he's adding in all those other tree trunks and washing out the color from before. It's like, wow, you can actually wash the color out. Enough so they read like trees. It's just, that's pretty amazing. And again, it doesn't have that pure white in the background anywhere. It's just purples, orange snow kind of on the lake. So it's like, wow, that looks, is reading like snow is pretty freaking amazing. He's adding some super dark branches there. That makes sense. Like, wow. Ah, that's how he gets the branches like that. Interesting. Yeah, that definitely kind of leaves that impact. I was wondering how he got that, so good thing I stopped here. So that's a great watercolor technique. And he's just adding a little bit more to kind of make it more organic. It's just so cool that he wiped it out and then he just adds little touches to make it feel not like he damped it out. Here he's using a knife effect, which is pretty interesting. I don't know what he's doing there. Oh, he's actually scraping it down to the paper. Wow. See, I would have never thought to do that. Scrape to get to the white paper. It's like, wow. It's definitely going to make that pop and feel like real snow on the branches. That's insane. He's going to sign it probably. Beautiful signature and brush. It's really hard to do that, so it's just very impressive and very artistic. And he has the year. I hate when people had the year. You know, people did that years ago, and I think it's great for dating, but you can date the back of the painting, and I just, oh, for me, it's just cringe when people put numbers on the painting. So that's that. Excellent painting, obviously. Let's see another one. This one is called How to Paint a Cityscape. Watercolor painting demo by Javid. I'm not going to say his last name. I'm chopping it up every time I know. So again, he lists the colors right away so you know what's going on. The colors off to the side. Classical. Really easy to understand painting demo. Easy to understand. Obviously, this guy's like a master for like mastering watercolor. It's just so cool between the fades and... Okay, let's skip ahead. There's nothing happening here. So it looks like a beautiful seascape actually formed. Oh my god, this ad's popping up. Let's skip ahead a little bit. So you got this really beautiful detailed sky. I mean, it still looks like a seascape, so you're like, how's this going to change to a cityscape? Let's go ahead a little bit. Oh god, these damn ads. Here's what able to accomplish in the watercolor is just amazing. Because that line on the horizon feels very crisp. It's just really... I think here he's going to add some part of the cityscape, which we were waiting for to develop. Because it just looks like a seascape, actually. It doesn't look like a cityscape at all. So you're like, how's this going to change into a cityscape? You're like... Okay, so he's blocking in some shapes there. It's very, very strong color, which you need to kind of make that stand out. So it looks like maybe on the Bosphorus or something, like in Turkey, with a mosque on the river or something. Let's skip ahead just a little bit. So he's starting to add a little bit more. So it's amazing that effect he gets to that bright orange on top of the background that was there before. He's mixing in kind of a burnt sienna on top of the orange, I think. Gives it a really nice feel of the shadow. So it must be a cityscape on a river or something. I don't know. I mean, it's such a cool thing he's doing here. So he's making it a little darker with the blues to make that really pop, come to the foreground, I think. Yeah, he's putting another shape in front of the church or whatever that is. See, this is really subtle marks you have to make into that water to keep that going right without screwing it up. Skip ahead a little bit. The amazing thing, he's adding that white. I don't know what he's doing there. Maybe he's adding white on top of that. It would have been nice if he had lined up the painting with the lens. Obviously, you're not going to think about that, but you could have just in post kind of adjusted a little bit. I think with, like if you have Final Cut Pro, you could fix this a little bit so it'd be a little straighter. But it's a great painting. Who cares, right? These are just minor things to tweak the video. Let's see. Go ahead a little bit. So I guess he's reflecting the building here into the water. I'm not sure. Skip ahead just a little bit. I think he's using white acrylic paint, what I'm thinking, to make that water reflections. I'm not sure, but because yeah, that's just paint on top, so it's probably acrylic on top or something, or maybe a gouache. I'm not sure, but the funny thing is, you go to these watercolor thing, and they'd be like, "It's disqualified. It has white acrylic paint." You're like, dude, it's a master painting. Who cares? But some of these contests are so crazy for artists to be like, "Oh, we can't qualify that painting as a painting because it has white in it." And you're like, "Dude, it's a masterful painting." They totally have lost the what would we say? Lost the script, so to say. Like they make the qualifications so crazy that it's like doesn't even make sense. You're like, no, if it's a great painting, it's a great painting. Who cares if they add a little bit of white acrylic or something to make the whites pop in watercolor? It's like, yeah. I mean, you're going to not have that satisfying finish just because you added white paint. It's like, okay. So obviously this is going to be awesome. Let's skip ahead. So it's a cityscape, but it's a seascape per se. Not really a cityscape, but it's just amazing stuff with the buildings there and the water reflection. So I'm going to stop it here. So one thing I'll say is he has a really great understanding of watercolor, obviously, how to paint. He's just doing that straight kind of plain canvas to the finished scene, which is fine. Generally, you kind of want to hook. You want to hook in the sense like, oh, today I'm going to paint this painting and show the finished painting. And you're like, ooh, how do you get there? And you start from the blank and then the finish, so it kind of adds a little bit more drama. He's obviously a great painter, so I don't know if he necessarily needs that, but the classical hook story add to this would be so much cooler. Also, showing his face once in a while would be good. We don't know what he looks like. I don't know if he's hiding from the authorities. He doesn't look good. Who knows? I know in Islamic art, you're not supposed to do the figurative at all, really, too much. And so people obviously go into landscape or they go into lettering with calligraphy. So figures are done very seldom because of the rules within Islamic culture. So he's being true to that in the sense he's just focusing on landscape. He probably just likes landscape. I can understand that. Like the landscape to me is more appealing than the figure anyway. I like the figure if it's done right, but if you don't paint it yourself, it takes a lot of skill to get from your starting point to where it's like artistic and sellable. He's obviously mastered the landscape extremely well. Looks like very collectible watercolor. I would definitely like his work. It's just really astounding. He's getting rid of that juicy kind of blends in watercolor where it just kind of fades to nothing, but a little bit of detail on top to really make that pop that you only get that effect really in watercolor. You could maybe get something similar to this in acrylic, but not quite. It just has those watercolor features. I've seen other watercolors where it's just really tight and technical and it doesn't have any of the wash effects, and you're like, why do you do watercolor if you're just going to do it super tight in watercolor? I mean, that's also impressive, but I like this because he keeps the classical wash effect of watercolor, but at the same time some detail elements to make it pop. Great mastery of how the color works. Just a little bit of white adding in there, which would be considered cheating in some watercolor events, but the people going to watercolor events, like, you know, it's like, dude, are they the customer? Probably not. They're just like other artists criticizing other artists. Like, yeah. So I wouldn't worry about that. But yeah, I think he could just add a few elements to his YouTube about who he is, his face once in a while. I think that would spice it up a little bit. Maybe the day in the life of, like, where he travels to see these sites, or are they just all imaginary, which probably it might just be imaginary. He's kind of throwing some scenes together. This looks like it's in Turkey. So that's close by. He's probably visited maybe once or twice, at least on an exhibition, so he knows the area. It looks like the Bosphorus, I would say. I'm not sure quite, not 100%, but it looks like it to me. A very beautiful scene. Great artist. I think you'd learn a lot about if you want to study watercolor. I would definitely encourage to check out Javid's channel. I'll give it a thumbs up. Great art. Could just be add a little bit of bells and whistles on the backside on the post-production, a little bit of bells and whistles on YouTube, but doesn't have anything to do with the painting. Obviously, he's an excellent painter. If you'd like to subscribe, you can subscribe below. And I'll see you in the next painting reaction video. Thanks for watching, guys.